Welcome to Getting Back Up, where grief meets growth.
Two men, two fathers, and one shared journey of rebuilding.
We're talking about life after cancer, love, loss, and everything no one tells you.
Well, let's get into it. How you doing? This is Jamal Jones from Getting Back Up, Finding Life After Death.
And I'm David McLean. We were doing this thing. We continue on.
Yeah.
This is just our forum to really open it up.
Yeah, and we're hitting I think we're hitting a milestone.
Yeah.
I mean, we're calling it a milestone because we're 16 episodes in, and we're taking the time out today to think about that and really talk about that.
But also, Jamal, is improvements on things, the furniture.
Oh, it's a lot has changed.
We move things around.
It's evolved. Yeah, we got like personality in our set now.
Exactly.
This is a journey. You guys are with us.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And we're doing this thing, and today we're gonna take a time out to just pause and think about the last, I guess, 10 episodes now, right? Because we the last time we took a time out was after episode 6. Now we just finished episode 7. We touched on a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of things.
Wait, you talking about as in we started with episode 7 starting?
Yeah, this next, if we want to call it, chapter, quarter.
Well, the theme has always been, in true GBU style.
Yes.
We laugh. We have cried a little or held back the tears. And it's okay to cry.
It's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
And we just had a good time. We tried to just show, man, what's happening is not uncommon.
Yeah.
And just a forum that men in particular can talk about it. Women as well in this forum. And also the women in the lives of men can help those men understand, hey, we can talk about this.
Yeah.
And the living example are just regular dudes like Jamal and myself, really.
Yeah. So. And we've covered a lot of ground in these last few weeks, really talking about first the day we woke up, or the moments after we lost, and the moment when we realized we were single, solo.
Yep.
That our the emotional dynamic, or the emotional kind of trauma, so to speak, of losing our late wives.
Yeah, man. I can remember from the last few episodes that first morning when you're truly alone.
Yeah.
Some of the calls and the frequency of the calls or texts start slowing down. Folk return to their routine.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But then, as we talked about in a few of the episodes, what do we do with this new silence?
Right.
What does this mean? What's going to come after it? How do we fill our time in a way that was shared with a companion?
Yeah.
For us, the children are still there. That routine
had to tell them. How do we tell them? Forget, the dynamics of just breaking this news. Forget the rest of the family, but our children.
Yeah.
They are the critical piece that is consistent in this whole theme is, what about the kids, right?
Yeah.
And that's the question that all of our family continues to ask. They asked us through that journey.
Yeah.
And, those moments where we had to make those first difficult decisions from, where do we get the groceries from now, to what's for dinner, to, when's the next vacation?
Right.
Like,
and you can't serve them chicken nuggets every night.
No, that's not healthy.
No, it's
apparently.
Not.
Yeah.
Now, it is comfort food, and there may be some other foods that we realize in our conversations that remind our children of that familiarity about things that their mother loved to eat. In my family, the girls, it's salty and sweet. I think they check off both boxes for sure.
Yes. So, and Domino's makes it, many of your kids, Domino's makes it to the list of the top 3 best restaurants in the world.
And talk about familiarity, man. It's not about flavor. My oldest daughter loves Domino's.
Oh yeah, no, I had to.
And the thinner, the
I refuse
better.
to order it for my daughter. Like, what do you want for dinner? I want Domino's. No, I'm not ordering it. Now she gets her allowance, so she orders her own Domino's.
Sure. Yeah,
but but yeah, those are the key things. And then, I think we talked about, you talked about the silence, but before that was, how do we honor them, right? Whether it's the services that we had, or just honoring them and allowing the children to remember them and think about them each day, each month as we go through these different seasons, these different holidays, these different moments, birthdays, and all of that stuff. These
milestones,
right? That
just and the most mundane of milestones at times too.
Yeah,
and it's so weighty in that moment because you're doing it alone. You're making sure there are still there are always memories tied to how the other person used to do it or how we used to do it together.
Right.
So making it authentic in that time.
Yeah.
So I think that's some of what we had talked about in a couple of different episodes. Yeah. And
then, at some point, everybody's asking, you're thinking, what do I do next? That could be, what do I do next in my career? What I do next, where I live, where do we live? And then, the one that I think everybody's kind of bracing for is who's next, right? And that varies by person, by time, by your situation. But I think that's definitely one of those things where people are, have their own perspectives and sensitivities. And we spent a couple episodes talking about where people think you should be in your grieving process versus where you may be,
Yeah. And also speaking to that is people are stuck on the idea of that brand of Janice and Jamal or
Nolani
and David. And so logically they know, he's got to move on.
Right.
And there is, in both of our situations, there's more for them to give. First of all, because they have children in their household, so they better keep giving to model, all right, this is what it looks like to be resilient.
Exactly.
And to move on. And then it's that dating aspect of, yes, they want us to be happy, but they're not clear emotionally with themselves. They're parked in that sense of who the couple was before.
Right.
And then also I thought was really interesting for you is the lifeline that you reached out to when you were showing, hey, all the glitter and gold over here. This is why, but say a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I think it's everybody has their perspective of who you are. You talked about the brand. Who are you as a person? And once you get married and you're with a partner, so much of who you are as a person is impacted, dependent, influenced by who you're with. Right. So your brand and who you are and how they remember you and how they're used to seeing you, that changes. And when you're dealing with a relationship, a marriage that is not the best, it has its challenges. I relied a lot more on my friends for different things, than I would have if my marriage was healthy. Right. And I think as a result of that, when I went through my metamorphosis, after becoming a single dad or widowed and single dad, and then this process of moving forward, that's a process, right? That's something that a lot of, people aren't, used to or comfortable with or ready for. Right. And I think that's something that comes up for anybody who's thinking about the next step in their grieving process or beyond the grieving, the immediacy of the grieving process.
And just the theme of doing things differently.
And
that sticks with me, what Janice said to you.
Yeah.
And I think it was also what your wife Jordan asked of you as well.
Yeah.
You said you're going to do differently. Work together.
And she holds me to it. Yeah. Jordan will, and today we talk that's the part of it is when you do find a partner who is ready to who you're ready to be part of this next journey for yourself and who is ready to be within that journey with you, you want them to hold you accountable to this person who you need to be and how you're going to grow through this experience. And I know for me, Jordan has been that. There's many times that she'll see me falling back into a pattern or I'll say something and she'll that's not who you are thriving to be, right? You're trying to be different. Is that doing it different? Right. And I gotta be you're right.
but also it's this commitment to each other because you are both worth it. And what the product of what you are doing moving forward, not just on. Because remember we talked about that, the pressure of moving on versus moving forward.
Oh yeah,
moving on.
Yeah, the moving on is. I mean, it's like saying you're gonna forget.
Yeah.
These women one day, or these men, or the healing process. It's a continuing process.
Right.
It's an ever evolving process that goes from sadness to memories.
Yes.
Right. To sadness, to reflection, to memories. And in that process, you're able to evolve through, somebody was like, are you still grieving? Somebody asked me that recently. Oh, you sounds like you're still grieving. No, like my late wife passed away. I understood that. I understand that. I'm saddened by it. I know it affects my children. It has affected me. But I have moved forward in a positive way to bring the best of who I am, to remember her the way that we need to remember her,
right,
and to pass on a lot of lessons that she would have wanted me to pass on to the kids. Right. So doesn't mean I'm sad, right, in my daily. Yeah. But I can be sad that, oh yeah, it'd be great if she'd be happy. She'd be proud of the kids, right? She'd be proud of, my stepson recently moved into, his first apartment with his new girlfriend, which beautiful. And they were both happy. Yeah. And, Janice would have loved to be there with them.
It's remembrance.
Right. It's remembrance.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I'm sad or this deep sadness element of grieving. I think that's the part of like this process that a lot of people that we talked about during this. It's an evolution. Yeah, right.
And it's not consuming you, the grief.
Right.
It's a lesson about how you move forward. I'm gonna say, Auntie Duchess, you can't live in the grave.
Can't live in a grave. Yeah,
that's a good one.
That's it. You can't.
One you just hold on to.
Yeah.
So you
better get out that grave. Get back up out that grave.
Don't get a nice pillow and a nice warm quilt or something like that. No, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
Also, I think just going back to this intermediary stages between the loss and then the dating and such. Boy, when you and I went through how we arrived where we are now and my different relationships,
it's a journey, man.
It's a journey, brother.
It's a journey.
It's different seasons, man.
Yeah,
it's different seasons. They don't always match up, and you don't know until you're out there.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. Right. You don't know when that trigger's going to happen. No. You don't know when. I talked about coming home from a date or a dinner or something, and my daughters are looking at me like, you're just getting home. Who were you with? You're like,
you didn't clear this with me.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't tell me you were coming home late. But these are all things like you've got the parenting dynamic, the single father dynamic, the dynamic of the dating and who you are interested in. And it's a learning process because you think and then you go through the cycle and you meet different people and I'm like, oh no, I actually don't want that. I'm not interested. I thought this would be something I'm interested in and it's actually not. Right. And I think that whole process of finding out who you now are, this new identity and what you want to deal with and what you don't want to deal with and how communicating and how that presents itself in a partner who's ideal for this next phase in your life.
That's right.
So
and moving along that continuum or route or however you want to perceive it is, I like what we said one time about own your bandwidth.
Yes.
Understand what you are capable of taking on and then communicate with that person. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm not stuck in this place. I'm excited about what's coming next. It may not happen in the same season,
right?
Potentially with the person that you're dating or what have you.
Yeah. I think the common theme throughout a lot of that first, these last few episodes was very much understanding what you need, being able to voice that and being honest with the people in your life, whether it's family, friends, your children, and then also, the people who you're dating. Like all of these people need to understand where you are in this phase, what you need in this phase. And I think the last piece of it is also like, you got to be like honest and forgiving of yourself. Because if you're ready for something, just be okay with it. Yep. And if you're not ready for something, just be okay with it. Yeah. Right. Like we talked about kids sleeping over other people's houses and vice versa. Like there was a part of me that wasn't I was not ready to let my babies go.
Yeah.
Because I felt hyper protective of them. Right. But at some point in time, I said, you know what? I've got to be able to let them go and hang out with friends and have a sleepover with somebody I trust.
Yeah.
Right. And kind of navigate that life. So,
well, that mom, dad that you said, or dad, mom.
Yeah. Dad, mom. Yeah.
However you want to look at it is from a musical standpoint of that on a mixing board, that fader, being able to, in and out. Do we pan left, pan right as far as discipline, as far as nurturing? You got to find that spot that makes sense and raise your children based on their needs. Yeah. Not the same. Yeah. Based on their needs. Yeah. So we had talked about that, and as well as reach out to those resources. Use the folks who are going to be around will be there. The people, right? You can't worry about those who are not. You have to work with those people who are with you. And that is dipping into decades upon decades of friendship in a lot of cases, because they're going to be there for you as you are going to be there for them. Yeah. And just this idea also of having to leave certain people where they are. So that you and your family can move forward. Because we grown out here. These grown folks, they've got their own challenges, their own dynamics, their own dysfunction in their own families, whether it's more on the surface or deep below. You got to continue to make it look right for your household. Right.
Yeah, that's 100%. Like, I think you can't save everybody, and you can't take advice from everybody.
That's right.
Everybody hopefully means well. And I think that's the thing that I always started to, when I went through this process and kind of, I always took the approach from everybody had feedback. A lot of people had feedback, asked me questions, and I know it came from a good place. Yeah. But sometimes I had to say to myself, they didn't have this experience. Right. So I appreciate this feedback. Even my parents, right? Like who I value their feedback and inputs. But they didn't necessarily go through what I had gone through. So while it was feedback and inputs and I appreciated it, I also had to at times say to myself, that's good insight, but I'm actually more experienced than you in this thing. Right. I didn't necessarily have to say it, but I can digest all that information. And I think you take all of this, and I think that's how you digest this process of moving forward. So much of it is, it's you in this phase. Yeah. And it's these people care about you and love you. But you have to take their feedback and input and advice as what it is. It's feedback, input, and advice. It is not the final decision.
And well, also in the conversations that we had, some of this comes from this original programming we talk about a lot. That in the household they grew up in, well, their parents did it this certain way. Yeah. Whether it worked or didn't or created more challenges, as we are raising our own families, let alone we had a big loss in the family, it's, am I going to do what was done before because it was something that was done before? Or am I going to do something and move in a different direction that makes sense for my household? Right. And because folk are watching, your children, about, okay, so they're not thinking about it as the age they are now, but as they do move into their own relationships and do find a partner, am I going to do what mom and dad did? Right. We want to give them.
We have the model. We're still modeling. Right. Yeah. We're still modeling. And I thought about that too. We talked about the moving forward. And when you meet somebody, I thought about that very deeply around what I modeled to my children about our collective resilience. Yeah. But then also the type of people we bring into our life, the people who we say we love and the people we bring into our life and what we model collectively. And that was something that I thought about when I started dating. That was something I thought about very deeply when Jordan and I decided we were going to take our relationship to the next level, was what are we modeling to our children? What are we modeling? And she was very sensitive to what are we modeling to your children so that they know that we care about them, we love them, that she was a part of this, right? I didn't come in and say, hey, you need to help me raise my children. Right. I said, my children need a role model.
That's right.
And if part of that, I'm not asking you to be hands off, like you're an extension of what I have to do. And I think that was a collective decision that I made, right? Like a lot of people like, oh, you know, and we've talked about like, what's the role? It's hard.
Yeah.
Given that person, this new person, you've been so protective for 2 years, you know, however long time that you're a single dad, you're so protective of your children. And at some point in time, you've got to say, I've got to allow this other person to come in and be part of this. Right. And I can't keep them kind of this stiff arm distance away from, you know, being a parental figure.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's also an extension of, we talked about releasing that valve a little bit, letting more emotion in.
Exactly. Yeah.
At that advanced stage where you are and you're thinking marriage and someone like Jordan is coming into your life, that's another piece that comes in through that open valve of showing emotion. You're going to feel a certain way because you can see Jordan modeling what you consider appropriate, what you consider balanced, what you also consider is she gonna make some mistakes like you do, and you have to give her grace for that too.
Where she's a new parent, just like I was a new parent, and guess what? Back again. Every child is different. So when we had our daughter together, we were new parents.
That's correct.
Right? Yeah. So you have all of these new dynamics that are being added to this, that create this complexity. But I think those are all things that were important for us to touch on over the last few episodes. And I think as we think about, like, even we had feedback. You know, we got questions from listeners, and we had feedback from you know, friends, family, you know, fans, our community around, you know, are you only going to talk about, you know, losing a spouse? Yeah. Is that all you're going to talk about?
No.
That's our window. That's our doorway.
That's how we got into
the whole purpose of our podcast, whole purpose of Getting Back Up was to create a forum. And an idea, a concept around how do men, or how should men, talk about loss. Our doorway just so happened to be.
That's where we started.
Right. But the reality is, there's a whole lot of topics. I mean, I've had we both have had two close friends in the last several months who lost their mothers. Right. And we're unfortunately
that's where we are now.
That's where we are now, right? In that phase where we're having more conversations about family members who are passing away, battling dementia, battling different, you know, things as elders. And then ourselves, we're also dealing with that, right? I mean, we're also dealing with our own mortality and health, right? As age starts creeping up on us.
And it's planning for them. Hopefully they have done that. We hope, because we have to think about it for ourselves too. And as we probably talked about, but it's always worth underscoring here, is something that my mother has told me, that her mother told me about: the greatest gift you can give your children is not to be a burden to them. Especially in this stage. That doesn't mean you don't take care of mama or your father. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is they have their affairs in place. They have their living situation where they have enough to take care of all that's going to happen to them. It makes it easier for them, and it makes it easier for you as that adult child of that parent, that you're not scrambling and have to figure out all these things and money for X, Y, and Z that you don't have. So I think that is definitely it. Also, some of the people we heard about, we really are moving from getting back up. It's really finding life after loss. So when we also talk about these other topics of loss,
it could be loss
our friends who are divorced and having a challenge with that, and loss of intimacy in those situations,
or loss of a job. I mean, the market is crazy right now. There's a whole lot of people who are struggling with that, and us men. I remember I lost my job at one point. Went through a long period of time, and I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't go see a counselor. My boys would ask me how I'm doing. I'm good, man. I can't complain. I'm chilling. Right. No, I'm struggling. Right. I'm struggling. I'm broke. I don't know how I'm going to take care of myself, let alone my family, once it happened to me when I was working at one point. Like, these are conversations we don't have. Right. And now as we get to this next phase, I think that's going to be important. But before we tell the people, before we talk about what's the next phase, right? Let's go back and talk about what are some of the things we learned, like some of the key themes we learned and we talked about in our last few episodes. One of the things for me was you can grieve and you can grow at the same time, right? It is possible. You can be down and find your way up at the same time, right? I think that's a critical thing you have to be able to do. And that, like we talk about getting back up, you can't stay in the grave. Yeah. You can't stay down. You got to get back up. You got to keep moving. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not going to look perfect.
It's not. Yep.
And you just need to be present.
That's it.
I think that's a really solid point, that because we don't know what's going to get into the minds and emotions and hearts of our children. We're just trying to do our best to have the most well-rounded children who can talk to us when things aren't.
And ourselves continuing to become more well-rounded. Yeah. Right? I think that's key too. Yeah. Grief doesn't leave you. We talked about it a little bit. It evolves. It evolves you. Doesn't define you, right? It's not who you become, this grieving person. It just becomes something that you went through, right? But you got to find your way out of it in order to get up and move forward. Right?
For sure. I think and the reason why we did this podcast, so we can build this community and the conversations and the podcast that extended from just Jamal coming over my house, I'm going over his house, starting a bowling alley, as y'all remember, is that there's no script for this thing. And I think just telling the stories allows other people to say, that's me too. And these guys are talking about it. I can as well. Yeah.
I had a colleague who I ran into recently and similarly lost his mother. And he was watching our episode and went through the same. He was like, I felt that. Yeah. I haven't experienced losing my mom yet. Right. God, thank God. Yeah. Like, I haven't had to worry about that yet. But like we're still able to connect. Yeah. Right. We're still able to have that conversation. We're still able to stand, there suited up at a gala event and break bread and laugh and find ways to talk about this experience. And that's it. It's as simple as that.
And also we heard from a couple of people who talked about they heard our stories and others, relatively young parents still working through it. Then it triggered this thought of, my mother was young. And when my father died or vice versa, whether it's the mother or father, they realized they were doing the best they can. I never thought about the challenge they had as parents. I just thought about it as a child going through that and what they tried, the environment they tried to set up so that we didn't feel that deep loss to a degree that was paralyzing and couldn't move forward. And I think I want to just jump back to along the lines of telling our stories is how we talked about our late wives in the celebration, how important it was for our children, again, modeling, there's no script for this, allowing them to understand who this person was.
Right, to the community.
And to have those connections with so many of the people who came to the 6, 7 services you had. You had like 6 or 7, right? Wasn't that what it was?
It was 2, but it felt like it.
It was 2. Okay, all right, sure. And just how important that was, and just people leaving with this sense of the powerful person that they were because of the connection they had to so many of those people in that setting. It's not a resume we're talking about when we were mentioning our late wives. It's what they meant to each of the people in their lives, and particularly to their children. So so now we move to another.
Now we move into another phase of this, man. So what's next for us?
I mean, it's about who we're now starting to talk about.
I mean, we're still going to have these reflections. We're still going to have these moments where we touch on this process, right? This journey, right, for ourselves that you're still taking, right? That I'm still taking it. I'm still in it, right? I'm just in a different phase, but we'll still have those moments those episodes where we just kind of dig in and reflect on a particular category, a particular specific moment. But, you know, now we start getting into bringing in people into our show, and professionals, family, friends, people who have gone through similar and different experiences.
Yeah.
And as well as professionals who can speak to those, right, and help to provide some more context to, you know, the advice that we've been giving. They may have better advice, much better advice.
I'm sure they do.
Way more scientifically proven advice than we have.
They are in that space.
But we are open to that. We're willing to be open to that and have those dialogues.
This is where we really get into finding life after loss.
Yeah.
As we said, the divorce, the losing a job, the identity that so many people have from that job that they have known for so long, but then they get that tap on the shoulder. Hey, man, we appreciate your service. It's time. Yeah. And then what do they do next?
Right.
They have their silent moments, those next days after these things happen.
Yeah.
So putting aside when you have the complication of illness and people survive that, a spouse or what have you, or that person, we've heard those stories as well. And so we'll start to talk and bring in more people and interview so you all can hear. And that's also where we want to hear from you all.
Yeah, we want to hear from you. I mean, we have our phone number. It's going to be right there.
Is it there?
It's
I think it's
there,
right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
And we have our Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
All of it.
YouTube.
It's all there.
X. We have all of them. So DM us, send us a message, drop us a note, share it, follow.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think of the show. And if you have any ideas of other things you would like to see us talk about, feel free to shoot us a message and we'll definitely address it here. We appreciate you. As always, thank you for joining us on Getting Back Up, Finding Life After.
Yeah, after loss.
All right, have a good one. Thank you for joining us on Getting Back Up, Finding Life After Death. If something in today's episode spoke to you, pass it on, because somebody out there needs to hear it.
For sure. We're on all the social mausoleums, so follow us on Instagram, Threads, TikTok. Mostly it will be in the form of Get Back Up Podcast.
And be sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast.
And remember, getting knocked down is part of life.
But getting back up is how we live.
We'll see y'all next time.